Want to get rich with Bitcoin? Want to know if you can still get rich with Bitcoin? We're going to be talking about that in this video. We're going to cover 4 key principles that is necessary for you to understand in order to get rich with Bitcoin. First of all, if you look at the current Bitcoin price, it is currently up here at $54,000 per Bitcoin. So a lot of people feel like they may have missed out on the current price rise. They wonder, is the price going to go up more? Can you still get rich on Bitcoin? I wish I would have got in a few months ago when it was trading at around $4,000, $5,000, $6,000. That's what people have already told me. Listen, you can't look at the past to determine the future, but it's important that you understand if you want to get rich with Bitcoin, there's several things that people try and they have the wrong approach. And I want to talk about that in this video. I want to talk about the approach that really would be the best approach for most people. And by the way, this isn't financial advice. This is just my opinion. You are free to disagree with my opinion. Anything that you disagree with, please go down in the comments and let me know what you disagree with. But the first thing that most people do in order to try to get rich with Bitcoin is they want to buy low, sell high. And that's really smart, by the way. But there's 2 fundamental issues with buying low, selling high. First of all, right now, we don't know if this is a low price or if this is a high price. You see, 6 months from now, a year from now, what if Bitcoin is sitting at $150,000? What if Bitcoin is sitting at $500,000? At that point, this would be considered a low price and buying in today would be good. However, if you take a look back over here, looking back at history, on this day right here, Bitcoin was selling at around $16,000 per Bitcoin. They didn't know at the time if this was a high price or a low price. And if you just look a few months later, it was down to $7,000. It had lost 50% of its value. Could you imagine, what if you put in your life savings right here and just a few months later it's sitting at $7,000? You've lost more than 50% of your entire life savings. How catastrophic that would be. And by the way, what are the odds that you would have held on this entire time to ride it back up? See, most people try to buy low, sell high. The problem is we don't know when it's low and when it's high unless we look back in history. Going forward, we don't know what that price point is. So emotions get involved. People try to time the market. So then the next thing is they want to become day traders. They want to draw a bunch of trend lines on a market. They want to say, oh, if it breaks above this trend, it's doing good. This is the inverse triangle. The problem with that is it's always looking back at history. Now, many of us have heard past performance doesn't necessarily predict future performance, or however they say that, whatever that proper phrase is. Put it down in the description if you know what I'm talking about. That just because it's went up, 10 times from here, basically, that it's going to go up 10x again in a few more months. That's not the same thing. That's not necessarily likely. So you've got to understand the 4 key principles and figure out what it takes to be able to get rich with Bitcoin. If you're going to get rich, and by the way, most people aren't going to get rich for one of 2 reasons. Because the price of Bitcoin doesn't do what many of us think that it can do. That's always a possibility. Nothing I say in this video is considered financial advice. I can't say that enough. The second reason people won't get rich is because they can't get their emotions out of the way and they end up selling too soon, or they don't hold cryptocurrency long enough. So you have to have a strategy that is detailed, that is thought out, that is simple and easy to follow, that doesn't get the emotions involved. By the way, I have an entire course, like a literally full course on Can Crypto Make You a Millionaire. This is currently there's 2 videos. There's going to be probably at least 4 videos in total. This course walks you through being able to giving you the information that you need to develop your own plan, and actually walks you through being able to make your first purchase in Bitcoin in the event that you haven't done that before. What are the 4 key principles? Let's talk about that now. First of all, you have to understand why. Why Bitcoin? Understand the ultimate use case. What is the ultimate purpose of Bitcoin? Why is it people invested in it in the first place? Why was it created in the first place? And if the price is going to go up, what is the number 1 factor that may cause the price to go up? It's important that you watch this video. There's a documentary called Money as Debt that doesn't talk about Bitcoin per se. It talks about what's wrong with our current economic system that Bitcoin could possibly fix. I encourage you to watch that video. It's right here, Money as Debt. I'll link it above. I'll put it down in the description. If you're going to be serious about investing in cryptocurrency, investing in Bitcoin for the future, I think it's fundamentally important that you watch this video and that you fully understand it. In fact, any middle schooler that you know should also watch this video. By the way, if you like getting good content that is hardcore, that is truthful as I can make it based on my own convictions and my beliefs, then do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, and click all. Once you understand why Bitcoin can go up in value, you need to understand what is the full potential of Bitcoin. How far can it go? How high can the price of Bitcoin ultimately get? If we're at 54,000 now, Now, when you watch this video, maybe we'll be at 5,000 again, or we might be at 30,000 again, or we could be at $500,000. But no matter what, based on where the current price is, what is the potential long term? Where could this go? How high could it go? I said last year when Bitcoin was trading around $5,000, and I thought Bitcoin could go as high as $100,000 by the end of this year. Back then, I was called crazy, but it's because I understood the fundamentals of Bitcoin and what was going on. Today, Bitcoin sitting at $54,000 looks like we're going to possibly hit that and may even exceed $100,000 by the end of the year. Only time will tell. You got to understand the full price potential. So what is that potential? Well, if you come over here and look at this current article that was just written a couple of days ago, Want to Be Rich, Bitcoin's limited supply cap means that you only need 0.01 Bitcoin. So based on this article, what they ultimately say is if you just look at the wealthy people in the world and you just realize that there's 21 million Bitcoin, and you basically were to spread those Bitcoin out in equal amounts and equal percentages of the traditional millionaires that exist today, if you were able to spread Bitcoin evenly across all of those platforms, then it was saying in order for that to happen and everybody to ultimately buy or acquire Bitcoin, with Bitcoin having a finite or a limited supply, they're saying ultimately that there would only be 0.01 Bitcoin per adult. 0.01 Bitcoin today, $500 investment at current prices could be much, much higher, maybe even as high as $1 million in the future. Now, that's a best case scenario, but let's look at this another way. In 2019, this was a current global wealth. This article was written in 2020, so this is probably the last time that this chart was actually created. However, based on this chart, it says that the entire global wealth in the world has a value of 360,000 billion, which is the same as saying 360 trillion, because this is in billions. $360 trillion. Put that into perspective. If we have a calculator, there's only 21 million Bitcoin. So let's just say that ultimately, if you understand money is dead, you understand that it's possible that something like Bitcoin could be the underpinning of the financial system that we currently have today. In the future, that could be possible. It's a long shot, but it's possible. What could the best case scenario, what could the best price be per one Bitcoin? So 360 trillion is 12 zeros. That's 3, 6, 9, 12 divided by 21 million total number of Bitcoin. And that would be the ultimate price per Bitcoin. Bitcoin would have to be able to replace our entire economic system in the world. One Bitcoin would have to be worth $17 million. Is that going to happen? I don't know. That's the absolute best case scenario on the planet. I do believe that it's important for everyone to do their best, try to own one Bitcoin, because one Bitcoin is still within reach for a lot of people. If you can't get one, then you should own 0.1. If you can't get 0.1, then obviously you should probably own 0.01. But in order to do that, you have to understand you're going to do something like take our one Bitcoin challenge inside of our Crypto Passive Profits course that we'll be currently developing, the one Bitcoin challenge. But the idea is being able to understand the future use case of cryptocurrency. What are the risks? What could cause the price of Bitcoin to drop drastically? The single biggest risk is suddenly going to be some sort of government intervention. You see, governments around the world really don't want Bitcoin to replace the financial economic system, so they're trying to create their own cryptocurrencies. They're trying to create the Fed coin, or what's called as a central bank digital dollar. What they could potentially do is they could create regulations or laws that could hurt the price of Bitcoin. There's two possible regulations or laws. One of these laws would basically say that in order for you to transact, in order for you to send Bitcoin to somebody else, then you actually have to have their identity kept on file. It's KYC AML. There is know your customer anti-money laundering laws. And this regulation or this rule, should it be passed, basically says, because it's already been proposed, but it basically says that you would have to be able to before you could send cryptocurrency to somebody, you would have to have the identity of that person on file, and you would have to know that it was their identity. And you'd have to have like a picture of a photo ID or a passport or something like that before you could send cryptocurrency. Unless you were sending it to a company. If you were sending it to an exchange, that would be different. But to send it to a private individual, if something like that were to ever pass, I don't think it is, but if it was to ever pass, then that could absolutely hurt the price of Bitcoin drastically. You could see that price drop by 50% or more. How in the world do you invest in something that the price could drop by 50% or more very, very quickly? Well, I encourage you to go watch our course. This is the first video. Go watch this course. Start developing a plan as well. We'll touch on it a little bit in this video. The other thing that could cause the price of Bitcoin to drop drastically is there could be a law created where in order, and this is a real possibility, that you would have to be an accredited investor. Now, this isn't an accredited investor basically means that you're wealthy. In the US, it means that you have a $1 million net worth, excluding your primary residence, or you earn $200,000 a year for the last 2 years, or combined income if you're made of $300,000, and you have the expectation to make the same this coming year. Now, this typically accredited investors can get access to the most profitable investment vehicles on the planet. These are not available to average investors. Things like hedge funds, things like initial public offerings of stocks. Those sort of investments, they say, are too risky for the small investor. But it also means that the small investor doesn't get access to some of the, in some cases, the most profitable investments on the planet. So with that being said, when you look at cryptocurrency and you look at something that realistically has moved, 80% down and up, in value that have had this sort of volatile moves, then it's easy to make an argument that cryptocurrency is incredibly risky and might be too risky, and they could potentially say that you have to be an accredited investor to invest in Bitcoin. And by the way, I was speaking to futures investors this week, and he says among the guys in the futures market, many of them have been saying for the past 18 months, 2 years, that they thought this regulations would be coming. They're surprised that it hasn't already happened. But if it does happen, then you can expect that the price of Bitcoin could drop drastically. Government regulation is the number one risk when it comes to cryptocurrency. So what is a strategy? How do you invest? How do you create an investment strategy that minimizes risk and really minimizes emotions? I mean, can you imagine how emotional you could be if your cryptocurrency lost 80% of its value, 50% of its value? How many people do you think bought here and sold here and never held it till here? How many people do you think probably did that? Probably a lot, because it's too emotional. The problem with buying and holding for most people, it takes too long. The problem with day trading is it's emotional, and taxes can eat you alive if you're not careful. So therefore, a lot of people fail when it comes to buy and hold strategies, and they also fail when it comes to day trading. So you have to create a strategy that minimizes your emotions. In other words, you have to do something where you don't get emotional and you don't have to wait forever to see a return. Now, again, you can go watch our course. One component that should exist in every investment strategy, in my opinion, is passive income investing. This includes the traditional stock market. I believe that a certain percentage of your investments should always be passive income investments, because it's passive income helps to minimize risk, and it also allows for you to remove some of that emotion. Meaning, if you have a $10,000 investment and you're able to pull 10% out in some sort of dividend or return, that means you only have $9,000 at risk. You've essentially cut your risk by 10%. If you can get 30% out because of income, then now you've only got 70% at risk. You've cut your risk on that investment by 30%. And in crypto, those returns could allow you to potentially buy more Bitcoin or to buy more Ethereum without having to necessarily put more in. So for example, in our current Crypto Passive Profits course, I'll put a link in the description, but I just talked about a project yesterday that's paying 4.4% daily right now. Is it going to continue to pay 4.4% daily? Who knows? Probably not. It's probably going to go down. It may go down to 2%, 3%, whatever. But the point is, make an investment in this project today. In the course of within the month, we'll be able to, you put in $100, you put in $1,000, put in $10,000, whatever. Hopefully, within a month, you'll be able to pull out your original investment. Whatever's left after that, if this is only paying out 1% or 0.5% a day, at that point, it's gravy. You have a totally free income stream. Now, this is all part of the bigger investment strategy. Again, you can definitely subscribe to our Crypto Passive Profits course if you want, but if you're brand new to crypto, maybe you shouldn't do that. Maybe you should just come over here and watch Can Crypto Make You Millionaire? This is a totally free course that teaches you the fundamentals of investing in an asset like cryptocurrency, but being able to do it in a way where you don't have to get emotional about it. And that's the key, being able to have a plan in place where you're going to be able to hedge your emotions, and that you don't care whether the price goes up 100%, 500%, or if it pulls back by 80 or 90%. You're not concerned because you have a rock solid strategy in place for you. I encourage you to subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to come watch this series. I'm going to be recording the third part of this video series today. The fourth part will probably be recorded tomorrow. In part 4, we actually walk you through making your very first purchase in cryptocurrency. So the question is, can you get rich with Bitcoin? I believe that you can if you have the proper investing strategy. But let me know down in the comments, do you think that you can get rich with Bitcoin? By the way, if you love learning about cryptocurrency, you love learning about this technology, do me a favor, smash that subscribe button, hit that bell notification icon, and click all. Thank you so much for watching. Decentralized cryptocurrency equals freedom. This is Crypto Wealth. I'm out.